Welcome to Gruesome Magazine as we review The Harbinger.
Gruesome Magazine.
I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and Christopher G. Mohr will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. And we're excited to tackle The Harbinger this week. With me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
That's quite awesome.
I'm not showing you my tail, but
no. Well,
it's not like we can't already see it on the internet, Jeff.
Yep. Small favors, big deal. Rounding out the crew is our one and only Dave Dreher. Dave, how you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I said good morning. We're recording this in the morning. Very unusual.
Yes, typically we record these in the evenings, but this one gets a special bright and bushy.
So we all show off our coffee cups.
Yeah. I usually have mine looks like
nice.
Bubbly. I've already had my coffee earlier, and now I'm just getting my whistle wet. All right. Well, what we're going to do tonight or this morning is review The Harbinger. We're going to start off giving you our first impressions, and then we're going to dive into a discussion. We'll probably get into some spoilers. The first impressions will be spoiler-free. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And of course, we hope that if you like this review, that and many others that we have on the site, by the way, that you'll hit the subscribe button, the like button, share with a friend. It'll do wonders for us and help us reach the goal of 5,000 YouTube subscribers. That would be awesome. Looking forward to reaching that goal this year.
Do it.
All right. Let's take a look at the card and dive into things. All right. The Harbinger from Scream Media 2022. Available in theaters and on demand beginning September 2nd, 2022. Synopsis is: hoping to escape their past, Daniel and Theresa Snyder move their troubled young daughter Rosalie to a quaint Midwestern town, but they are followed by the evil they tried to leave behind. When locals begin to die, the Snyders turn to a Native American seer and uncover a legend that may hold the key to saving their family or a path to a grisly end for them and all they hold dear.
Ah!
Yes.
Terrifying.
Yes, directed by Will Klipstein, written by Will Klipstein and Amy Mills. The cast includes Will Klipstein, Irene Bedard, Madeline McGraw, Amanda McDonald, and Steve Monroe. All right, let's dive into this. And you know what, Dave? Let's get yours first. What's your first impression?
I thought for sure it was going to be Jeff Mohr.
Too.
You know, this movie is some ambitious storytelling. This is a very, very involved plot with this. But I can't say that there was a part of me that didn't enjoy it a little bit. Yeah. I ended up getting wrapped up. There's several performances in this that I think that are actually quite good. And then there are parts of it, it's like, oh, okay, was somebody else making this movie here? Did they like bring in somebody? So it's a little, from a filmmaking standpoint, it's a little uneven, but I enjoyed the story they were telling, and I enjoyed a couple of the performances. So it's not a total waste for me, but I'm a little confused by some of the choices that were made along the way.
That's fair. That's fair. Jeff Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of The Harbinger?
Well, I'll kind of go along with Dave. I found it interesting. It is ambitious storytelling is a real good description. A very elaborate mythology built up around it that's not familiar to most people. So they do a pretty decent job of explaining it, but there ends up being a fair amount of exposition in order to do that. But I found the acting, I mean, we got some recognizable actors in this. Large part of it was shot in Chisholm, Minnesota, which is northern part of Minnesota in the Iron Range area up by Hibbing and those places. So some also ambitious special effects, I think, that some work. better than others, but
Yeah, some movies better than others.
it's I don't know. I guess I would call it a mixed bag. That's what I'm going with. But very ambitious for a small production.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the script actually is chock full of really good ideas, and the story is itself. The film itself doesn't come together. It is uneven, like you said. It's inconsistently shot and stuff. Sometimes it feels very, very amateur. Apologies. And then other times it really shines. And then there's a couple of times when the special effects, there's one special effect in particular, we'll get to it, that I really enjoyed and almost saved the film for me. It does end well, so that helps. But it's a little what? How do you put it? Kind of shaky getting there, you know, kind of, and I don't know. I always felt like, damn, it's like there's a real good movie here to be shook out of the cobwebs, but I'm not sure I'm watching it. And it's really unfortunate because I think there's a lot of talent behind this. And I think it just leaves me with the feeling like I'm being unfair, right? Because, you know, you gotta look at it in a couple of different ways, right? As critics, as we do every week, and as a project, it succeeds. But as a film that you want to pay for and watch, I don't know if it does. That make sense?
It does. I think we're all three saying the exact same thing, just in three different ways.
Well, I hope that's entertaining. All right. Well, let's get into some of the meat of it, which will have some spoilers. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the representation of good versus evil. There's like a devil and a angel of sorts, but it really gets into it. Air quotes for those who couldn't watch us. There are times when I thought it was handled extraordinarily well, like in the especially like in the graveyard and a certain creature coming into the tomb. What about you guys? What do you think of this representation that they were bringing to the screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with. I mean, we don't really know. And again, this is going to be a little spoilery. Are we going to go a little spoilery yet? Or
we are spoilering. Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're in spoiler. So the angel, as you say, we don't really know what he is at the beginning, right? I mean, he just looks creepy and points. So we're not. Yeah, we don't really know what that means. We don't find out until the evil shows up that what he is. Which I liked. I enjoyed that. And I think the little girl, too, was quite good. I mean, creepy kids are always fun, right? I mean, there's always good with that. And this girl played it pretty straight, especially in the playground scene there where she picked up that, what was it, a gopher or a squirrel or whatever the hell it was, and like smashes its head in between her hands. And, you know, everyone runs away screaming. And then they end up at the principal's office and they're like, yeah, something's not right here. And Dad's like, yeah, we got to go. Sorry. We're on our way. You know, I enjoyed that the conflict of them, the mom and the dad trying to save the little girl, you know, and just doing everything they have to do. The whole thing, but it was like very ambitious. And then you throw in the Native American thing, and it just got really convoluted. But at the same time, you could follow along. So I think they did to answer your original question. I think they did a great job of when it all came together, of showing us exactly who was what and why and what was going on. And you know, the fact that, the tagline gives it away. Only death can set her free or whatever. I mean, and you can't imagine being a father, you know, trying to make that decision. I mean, ultimately, he doesn't really have to go there, but he didn't know that until he didn't know that. So it was good. And I love the guy who played the human personification of the devil or Satan or whatever, because he was just like way over the top. He was. Yeah, you know, I thought he was good. He was fun to watch work.
Yeah, I did enjoy the devil representation of the devil as well.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was one of the best devils in a long, long time.
Especially for the practical effects in a low budget movie, it really came together. What about you, Jeff? What did you think of all this shenanigans?
Well, I like the overall story, and I ended up watching it twice, partly because we had a little trouble getting this scheduled, and so I watched it a few days ago, and my Swiss cheese brain.
Yeah.
But it also is one of those movies where there are things going on that are revealed later in the movie, and so it's kind of fun to watch it and see, are they consistent with that? Is the way the person is acting and the dialogue and stuff. Because I was totally clueless about a couple of reveals that were in here. So yeah, I thought it was good. I liked the bald guy. I thought he was good. The angel character was a little odd. I get what they were going at, and they kind of explain it towards the end, so it makes a little more sense what his behavior is. But
he was kind of fun in a Crazy Ralph kind of way.
Right.
He'd make a good Crazy Ralph.
There's and there are some surprisingly, I shouldn't say that. I guess it is. What's surprisingly experienced cast members in this? Folks like Steve Monroe, who plays the neighbor, the ever-present neighbor. He's pretty good. The indigenous woman, the seer, I guess, floating hawk, Irene Bedard. Wow, she's got a great list of credits. She was the voice of Pocahontas in the Disney movie.
I did not know that. That's quite impressive.
She was also in what, Dave? She was in The Stand.
Yes,
Stand miniseries.
Yeah, that I knew, but I didn't know she was the voice of Pocahontas.
So yeah, and then Madeline McGraw, of course, was in The Black Phone this summer. So interesting. And yeah, creepy kids, and she's creepy. It's like, right away, Rosalie's not right. There's something wrong with Rosalie. And the whole neighborhood, they pull into that neighborhood, and that neighbor lady, Betty, I mean, like, comes screeching into their driveway. It's just like, really? This is not, I don't know.
Yeah, I was a little like, what is going on with the place they moved to? I mean, it all gets explained, but it was like, that's so weird. And then the neighbor was, I was watching him closely. I was like, I see you, neighbor. But the problem I think I had the most was the husband and wife. I couldn't get a bead on her involvement in the story, right? I couldn't figure out how much she knew and how much she was doing, and I found that part of it the most confusing. And I kind of wish that was a little bit more. There was more interaction between the two of them up until it is at the end, but in the beginning, I don't know. I felt, Jeff just left now. I must have.
Oh my gosh.
But I felt like it was a bit, I don't know. It didn't gel for me until the very end. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it was no chemistry just between the actor and actress, or if it was just poorly written. I can't quite put my finger on it either, but I'm the same way with you. The only time it was feeling a little more organic was actually when the dad wasn't around, and it was just her interacting with her daughter. Right. And that seemed much more. So I'm a kind of akin to thinking it was just a problem with the two of them not connecting for whatever reason. Because I think the actress that played the mom was actually quite good for the most part. And I think the guy who played the father was very good for the most part, but the two of them together just didn't seem to mesh, which is weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard what we were talking about, Jeff, as you blipped out for a second. We were talking about the husband and wife. I was stating that I didn't feel their tie to the involvement of the story. I couldn't place where she was in it for a while up until the end.
I was like that when I watched it the second time. It made more sense knowing where things are going, because watching it the first time, there's some reactions between them that I didn't make sense and felt really uncomfortable. But after I knew what was going on, it kind of made a little more sense. So I don't know. She's and we find out there's actually a very long history of these two.
There is, and that came together, but it was very confusing up until it came together.
Yeah, those first couple sets of flashbacks, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
what's going on? But yeah, like I said, they do pull it all together. And credit to to the writers. I know we mentioned their name at the beginning of this, but I mean, they do. It's ambitious storytelling, and it could have gone way off the rails if they weren't careful. But they although it's kind of up on one rail every now and again, they land it.
That's a good way to put it. Every once in a while they go. Dave, the last thing we talk about before we wrap things up is the I got to talk about the makeup for the devil scene.
Yeah, good. I really enjoyed it.
Because that could be that could be a really difficult thing to pull off, because it could be very what am I trying to think of here? It could be funny.
Yeah, it could come off as comical, but this isn't. I mean, we get the good old cloven hoof, minotaur looking creepy ass horns, the whole thing. I mean, it's quite there, and it's practical. I think it's fully practical from what I could tell. Maybe might have been some CGI with across the chest, like where the chest was cracked open.
Yep.
That might be, but it wasn't distracting. If it was decently done and wasn't horribly distracting from everything. And again, we don't get that creature for long, but I don't know that we really need it for that long. And then once he transforms into the human version, he stays the human version. For the remainder of the thing. But I thought it was very, very, it would have been impressive for a large scale production. So super good. Impressive for this.
Yep. And I was surprised that it was lit so brightly and still came off well.
Yeah.
That's the kind of creature that a lot of times you'll get a lot of light and shadow to keep it, keep the seams out of view. But it worked out really well. I was impressed by that. I will say that.
The very endings like that kind of put me off with the swelling music. Like I don't know how to describe that music other than syrupy, sweet, transcendent, triumphant.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
But that's me.
That may have come from the fact we were talking pre-show about the fact that this is a chicken soup for the soul production. I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is a very positive Christian message of good beating evil, and it makes sense. Then you'd get that almost church-like music at the end as good. And I'm not going to totally spoil it for everybody, but yes, good beats evil for the most part.
But all right, but there's room for a
sequel. Yeah. Absolutely, that's always the case. But yeah, I think that triumphant music at the end has a lot to do with where the money came from, if you know what I mean.
There might be some guidance there. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Dave Dreher, sir, you are up first.
I'm glad I get to go first, because I think we're all going to have the same favorite scene. So,
well, there's a couple. There are a couple scenes.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Okay. I mean, I really did kind of enjoy this. I really did. We could certainly sit here and Christopher G. Mohr this film to death and just rip it apart for all the things that are not good. But at the end of the day, it was a really ambitious story, and I think they pull it off for the most part. I enjoyed it, held my interest. I didn't know where they were going at times. A couple of the performances I think are very strong. Hang around and make sure to check out the Satan dude when he first one. I don't think it was the same guy in the Satan suit that is actually the
no, I don't think
the
so.
Human representation.
Could be, but I don't think so.
But both are really good. Whoever was in the suit did a great job, and then the actor who portrays the human version is a lot of fun to watch work. Score wise, it like I said, at the end of the day, it's not really a great movie. But I'm going to give it a 3.25. These filmmakers and these writers, they need to be encouraged to keep doing what they're doing. This was definitely an out of the box take on good versus evil, and I think for the most part they pull it off. So that's my point. I'm sticking to it. That's it. That's my opinion. That's where I'm landing.
Did you say your favorite scene?
I didn't pick my favorite scene. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. But I'm going to go with Doc had already mentioned it when they locked themselves in the basement of that. What is it? Is it a church? I can't even remember where they're at.
It's a crypt. Yeah.
Crypt. Yeah. They locked themselves in there, and some bad things happen, and ends up Satan's able to get in. And when he makes his grand entrance in all his cloven hoof glory, it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Jeff, what is your final thoughts? Your score, your favorite scene?
Well, I think this is going to sound pretty similar. I think I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5, but as partially for the just how ambitious it is, you know, and the special effects. I would have liked to have seen what the budget was. I didn't see any information about the budget, but
I'm pretty sure it was 2 Pepsis and a free tank of gas.
Two Pepsis.
Well, I was interested in reading about the background of it, because it shot up. A lot of it was shot in Chisholm or around there, up in northern Minnesota, and there's not a lot up there. You know, you're getting into the Iron Range, and there's little mining towns of a 5,000, something like that. But apparently, it had this great big warehouse for shooting in.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so yeah, I like the ambitiousness of the mythology they set up. All of these, I don't know what you call them, totems or relics that were explained briefly that came into play. Daniel, I don't know. It seemed like the more important it was for him to hold on to something, the more likely he was to drop it. But okay, when you're fighting the devil, stuff happens.
I guess so.
And I really enjoyed Steve Monroe and the other 3 that I mentioned, the girl, Madeline McGraw, and Irene Bedard. And so it was worth a watch, and it held my interest both times. In fact, the second time I watched it, it was really interesting to watch how they were playing things and to find out where some of the conflict came from the husband and the wife. So anyway, give it a 3. And this will sound really weird compared with all the other things we've seen, but I think it was a frog, Dave, or a toad.
I can't remember what it was. I just remember her smushing it between her hands.
Yeah, I'm using that. I love stuff like this. It's like at that point, there's no doubt about this kid.
Yeah.
Something is going on. These other kids are going to run and see it, and she picks it up and squishes it, and they do, the organs squirt out around her fingers and stuff. It
was a good squish.
Apology to PETA people.
It was a good squish. It's got the Doc Rotten squish of approval.
Yes,
so
it's got a squish of approval. Yeah, I enjoyed the thing too. Yeah, the film's uneven, but you do have to recognize the ambitiousness of the ambitious story that it's trying to tell. It really kind of reaches quite far, and succeeds in many of the ways it reaches. I'm not necessarily sure that the film itself comes together as a whole, but there are parts of it that I think shine well enough to recommend the film in the end, especially if you're into these types of stories, or into just exploring new talent and independent film. This would play very well in a film festival, I would believe. I like Charles Hubble as well as the very tall, lanky, bald, bubbly guy, who seems to be a Minnesotan. Did I say that right? I probably didn't. But anyway, Minnesotan. And there are, toward the end of the film, when he's on screen, it's really strong. Some of the weirdness in the flashbacks didn't work for me, but when it comes down to the finale and the chase scene, trying to get, because they're in the graveyard, and half the graveyard is on Indian land or Native American land, and the other half is on not that land. And there's this mythology about what the devil can and can't do, right? Which I found very interesting. And that's actually a strong point. It could have used a little more focus on that. I thought that was really interesting. I'd like to have seen her involved in the finale in some way. Would have been fun. The seer. yeah. So anyway, I'm rambling. So my my score is I'm gonna go with a 3-2, Jeff. I think that's a really good score. I originally wrote down 2.75, but I think we discussed this, and I'm kind of remembering the things I like, and they're standing out far stronger than the things that I didn't like. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I'm going to go with a 3, and I think I recommend it, but it's not. It's more just to appreciate what they're after than maybe what they achieved, and I feel like that's unfair, but that's kind of what I'm going with. I agree with whoever said that, you know, the people involved are very talented and we should keep an eye on them, because I think we should. I think there's very much a large pool of talent involved with this. So my favorite scene, I'm a sucker for somebody sliding along and you don't see how they're walking and it looks like they're just kind of floating.
Oh yeah, that was good. I'd forgotten about that scene.
So they're being chased by this mysterious man in the big black outfit, and they're going through a graveyard, and it's kind of dark and everything, and he's just like,
it kind of looked like he was on a Vespa.
It kind of did.
Yeah, because he's kind of leaning forward. I'm like, he's on a Vespa, but that was kind of, I mean, the fact that they had him like in that big robe and everything, I thought that's really inventive. I mean, that was fun.
Well, it was seamless too. I mean, you couldn't see the effect.
Well, they shot it very well, and he might have been just standing on like one of those funny little wheel things that you can stand on and go. But it works. They
call it a Vespa, Doc.
They call it a Vespa. That's a Vespa. All right.
I think it is. Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought a Vespa was a scooter, but I don't know. But either way, it works. And
he was on one of those things that Paul Blart Mall Cop was on.
Oh, those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's a Vespa.
Okay. Fine. Go ahead. Embarrass me in front of everyone.
Everyone!
I'm used to it.
I have 2 more drinks of coffee. I'll think of it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, there you go. That's our review for the Harbinger. Check it out and let us know what you think in the comments down below. I'm very curious to see how other people react to this film.
Is it streaming anywhere? Is it
not? Well, it is video on demand right now, but it's not streaming.
But we can't find it on a service anywhere.
Right, and it is in theaters, in some theaters. I would imagine closer to Minnesota you get, the more theaters it's going to be. I would imagine, but it is on VOD, and I imagine it'll be on Amazon Prime or Shudder or some other streamers by the end of the year. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's worth a late night watch.
Yeah.
I think so. Yep. All right, Dave, Jeff, thank you for joining me, especially in the early hours of the morning.
Well, thanks for sticking to it.
It's not that early.
Working with a busy bunch.
Busy bunch.
Everybody. Not to be confused with the Brady Bunch.
Well, we can go ahead and share why is usually Christopher and Crystal are with us, but they're both down at Dragon Con this week. And then we had some just the usual shenanigans happen on a Wednesday night, so we had to pick up a different day to get us all together. And, it's just one of those things. A little behind the scenes. Little behind the scenes there. We are surrounded by the air of shenanigans. All right, let's say good night.
Good night, or good morning, good day.
Good day. Good day,
sir.
Bye.
Bye.